Elias Vance had never been a morning person. The soft hum of the orbital station's gravity stabilizers, combined with the artificial sunlight streaming through the dome, usually lulled him into a deep sleep, but today was different. Today, he had an early meeting with the Innovation Board, a chance, he hoped, to finally get noticed. He laced his shoes, adjusted the sleeve of his light-trimmed jacket, and stepped onto the jogging track that curved around the station's outer rim. The track floated above the complex's main docking bay, giving a breathtaking view of the stars beyond and the bustling human activity below. Ships of all shapes and sizes moved like ants, delivering supplies or personnel to the various modules. For Elias, this was a daily reminder of human achievement, a floating city in space, and yet, somehow, it felt like home. The first few minutes of jogging were slow. Elias breathed steadily, letting his body wake up while his mind focused on the upcoming presentation. He had been working for weeks on a new propulsion interface for the station's shuttles, a design that could cut energy use by nearly 40%. He knew the board would appreciate the numbers, but what he really wanted was visibility. Not just recognition, but a clear path to the upper management team. As he rounded a corner, Elias noticed someone ahead, a figure jogging at a steady pace. At first, he didn't pay much attention. Early morning joggers were common on this track, and most were engineers or security personnel. But as he got closer, he realized it was Arya Kaur, the CEO of the station's main corporation. The woman who had single-handedly transformed human-alien trade agreements and turned their company into the most powerful commercial entity in orbit. Elias froze for a fraction of a second. Not out of fear, though there was some of that, but out of disbelief. Arya Kaur, CEO, founder, legend, was jogging here. Among the regular employees, her stride was calm, confident, almost effortless, and her presence seemed to make the track itself feel sharper, brighter. "Morning," she said, without breaking her pace, but her eyes met his in a way that sent a jolt through him. There was something in her gaze, something precise, almost measuring. Good morning," Elias replied, his voice sounding smaller than he wanted. His heart raced not from the jogging, but from suddenly being in front of Arya. He told himself to focus, just act normal, but Arya slowed slightly, jogging beside him. Her tone was casual, but her words hit him like a laser. "Elias Vance," she said, leaning in just enough that he could feel her presence strongly. "Act like my husband. And the promotion is yours." Elias blinked. He wasn't sure he heard her correctly. His mind raced. Was this a joke? A prank? A test? "Excuse me?" he managed to say. "Act like my husband," she repeated, with a slight smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Then, without another word, she increased her pace and jogged ahead, leaving Elias staring at the space around him, stunned. He stopped, unsure whether to continue jogging or chase her. His pulse was rapid, his thoughts chaotic. What did she mean? Act like her husband? Elias didn't even know where to start. He was a professional engineer, not a performer, and yet, he had no choice. In a world where promotion meant access to resources, influence, and power, a challenge from Arya Kaur was not something to ignore. The next day, he found himself in the innovation lab, trying to focus on his work. The propulsion interface lay before him, but his mind kept replaying the encounter. Every time he tried to measure the energy efficiency of his design, he could almost hear her voice whispering that strange, compelling challenge. It was clear that Arya wasn't testing his technical skills, that much he could tell. Her words weren't about numbers, or shuttle performance, or even corporate loyalty. They were about something else. Something human. Later, as he walked to the cafeteria, he noticed her again. Arya Kaur sat at a table, holographic display hovering in front of her. Reviewing interstellar trade reports, she looked up and gave him a brief nod. It wasn't the nod of a boss to an employee, it was different, subtler, more like someone acknowledging potential. Elias felt a strange mixture of determination and anxiety. He needed to understand what she wanted. He didn't know how to act like her husband. And the phrase echoed in his mind, strange and surreal. But he realized one thing. This challenge was about more than work. It was about partnership, instinct, and intuition. Over the next week, Elias observed her carefully. He watched how she interacted with other employees, how she negotiated with alien representatives, how she handled crises without raising her voice. He noticed patterns, habits, subtle cues. Every gesture seemed intentional, every word measured, and Elias realized that if he wanted the promotion, he would have to anticipate her needs, think like her, and perhaps understand her on a level no other employee had. His first real opportunity came unexpectedly. A minor system malfunction in the docking bay caused a shuttle to lose orientation. Several engineers were unsure how to respond. Waiting for orders, Elias saw the problem and instinctively acted. He coordinated with the AI navigation system, redirected the shuttle safely, and communicated clearly with the team, all without being told what to do. Later, Arya came by the scene. She didn't praise him publicly, but she didn't need to. Her eyes told him she had noticed. And in that look, Elias saw approval. Just a hint, subtle and almost imperceptible, but enough to encourage him. From that day forward, every encounter with Arya became a puzzle. Every word she spoke, every glance, every casual remark held meaning. Elias learned to listen more than he spoke. He learned to observe. He learned that leadership wasn't about being loud or commanding, it was about understanding, anticipating, and acting with precision. One evening, while walking along the observation deck, Elias thought about the future. He imagined the corporate meetings, the alien negotiations, the interstellar missions that could change human history, and he realized that Arya's challenge wasn't a test of marriage, or companionship, or loyalty. It was a test of human capability. Could he rise to the level of leadership she required? Could he prove that a human mind, with intuition and empathy, could outperform the most advanced AI systems? He clenched his fists, feeling a surge of determination. The promotion was more than a title, it was a chance to show what humans were capable of, even in a universe filled with aliens, AI, and cosmic uncertainty. As the stars twinkled outside the observation deck, Elias made a promise to himself. He would rise to the challenge, not just for the promotion, but to honor the ingenuity, resilience, and adaptability that made humans truly exceptional. And tomorrow, he thought, with a mixture of anxiety and excitement, he would see Arya Kor again. And this time, he would be ready. The morning sunlight spilled across the orbital station's glass panels, reflecting off polished metal surfaces and painting the corridors with a soft gold glow. Elias Vance tightened his jacket and walked briskly toward the innovation lab. Today, he reminded himself, was another chance to prove himself, not just as a competent engineer, but as someone who could anticipate, adapt, and lead. The encounter with Arya Kor on the jogging track had changed everything. Her words had been strange, yes, but now they lingered like a challenge, etched into his mind. Act like my husband, and the promotion is yours. Elias still didn't fully understand what she meant, but he had begun interpreting it as a call to think like a partner, someone who could complement her decisions, anticipate challenges, and act when necessary. When he arrived at the lab, his workstation awaited him, already humming with holographic displays. Multiple projects were ongoing, including a shuttle propulsion interface he had been working on for weeks. Today, however, his focus wasn't just on engineering. He needed to watch and learn. Arya entered the lab with her usual calm confidence. Engineers paused in their work, but she gave only a small nod, barely acknowledging anyone but Elias. He noticed her eyes, sharp and calculating, as they scanned the room. She was always 3 steps ahead, Elias realized. That was why she was the CEO. You've been making progress on the shuttle interface, she said without preamble, her voice steady. But today, I want to see more than numbers. I want to see judgment. Elias swallowed. Judgment? That could mean almost anything. He decided to focus on what he had learned over the past week. Observe, anticipate, and act decisively. A sudden alert flashed across the lab's main display. A minor cargo drone had veered off its course in the docking bay. It wasn't a dangerous situation, but it could delay shipments, if not corrected quickly. Engineers debated whether to wait for AI intervention or manually override the system. Elias stepped forward. "Let me handle it," he said. His voice sounded firmer than he expected. He accessed the drone's control interface, recalibrated its navigation program, and guided it back safely to the bay. Arya watched silently, her expression unreadable. When the drone landed smoothly, she nodded ever so slightly. That was all the recognition he received, but it was enough. Elias realized that the promotion she had hinted at wouldn't be given for simple technical skills. It was about initiative, clarity under pressure, and human judgment qualities that machines or strict rules alone could not provide. Over the next few days, Elias immersed himself in this new kind of work. He began studying Arya's routines, learning how she handled decisions, and trying to anticipate potential problems before they arose. He observed how she negotiated with visiting alien delegates, noticing her patience and ability to read subtle cues. A small movement of the hand, a shift in tone, a quiet glance, each detail conveyed more than 100 words of speech. Elias began to understand that acting like her husband was less about personal interaction and more about acting as a reliable partner in high-stakes situations. He would need to anticipate her moves, support her strategy, and complement her thinking. It was like learning a new language, a language of leadership, intuition, and trust. His first major test came sooner than expected. A sudden malfunction occurred in the station's energy core, a minor fluctuation, but enough to trigger alarms and concern among the engineers. Panic spread quickly, and most of the staff froze, waiting for orders from the senior management team. Elias, recalling Arya's subtle cues from the past days, stepped forward. He accessed the energy control interface, analyzed the readings, and calculated a temporary stabilization protocol. His hands moved confidently, inputting commands and adjusting the energy flow. Arya arrived at the scene moments later. She didn't give him instructions. Instead, she observed silently, her eyes tracking every move he made. When the energy core stabilized without incident, she finally spoke. "Good work, Elias. You handled that well." Her tone was calm, but there was weight in her words. Elias felt a surge of pride. He realized that in the corporate world, especially under a leader like Arya, success wasn't measured only by numbers. It was measured by initiative, insight, and calm under pressure. The following week brought new challenges. A rival executive, Draven, had been quietly undermining Elias by questioning his work and suggesting that his ideas were impractical. Elias noticed the subtle attacks and realized that this was not just a test of technical skill but of strategic thinking and social intelligence. Rather than confront Draven directly, Elias used observation and preparation. He double-checked every report, anticipated questions, and prepared clear explanations for his designs. When a board meeting came to review the propulsion interface, Elias presented his work confidently, addressing every concern before it was even raised. The board was impressed not just with the interface but with his clarity and foresight. Arya watched the entire presentation from the corner of the room. Afterward, she approached him quietly. "You are learning quickly," she said. "Not everyone sees what you've seen. Not everyone acts on it." Elias nodded, feeling the weight of her approval. He realized again that the husband challenge wasn't about personal life. It was about understanding, anticipation, and partnership. He was learning to become someone she could trust in situations that mattered, someone capable of supporting her vision. One evening, as the station rotated slowly around the planet below, Elias found himself on the observation deck, reflecting on the events of the past weeks. He watched the cargo shuttles moving across the docking bays, the engineers working tirelessly, and the aliens coordinating their trades. He realized that success here was about more than technology. It was about people, trust, and human judgment. That night, a new alert arrived. This time, It was a simulation scenario. An alien vessel approaching the station had reported a potential navigation failure. The station's AI could handle most emergencies. But this was a diplomatic situation. How the humans acted would affect their standing with the alien species. Elias immediately understood the stakes. This wasn't just about technical skill, it was about decision-making, communication, and empathy. He accessed the communication channels, analyzed the alien reports, and prepared a calm, concise explanation of what actions the station could take. When Arya arrived, she nodded approvingly. "You're thinking ahead," she said. "That is exactly what is needed." Elias felt a surge of confidence. For the first time, he realized the true meaning of the challenge. Acting like her husband meant becoming someone she could rely on completely. Someone who could think independently, yet anticipate her needs. Someone who could act decisively and calmly under pressure. Days turned into weeks. Each task, each challenge, each small success added to Elias's understanding. He began noticing subtle changes in how Arya interacted with him. She asked fewer questions about his technical work and more about his judgment, approach, and foresight. It was as if she was training him to be a partner, testing his abilities to think beyond the numbers and into strategy, diplomacy, and leadership. One morning, as he prepared for another review meeting, Arya stopped by the lab again. "Elias," she said, her tone calm but commanding, "the next test won't be about machines or numbers. It will be about people. Are you ready for that?" Elias met her gaze without hesitation. "I'll be ready," he said. Arya smiled slightly. "Good. That is what I expected. Remember, this isn't about being perfect. It's about seeing, understanding, and acting. Humans are capable of things machines cannot predict. Don't forget that." Elias felt a rush of determination. He now understood that his journey was not just about climbing the corporate ladder. It was about showing what humans could do, about proving that intuition, empathy, and judgment were just as important as technical skill. As he returned to his workstation, he thought about the weeks ahead. There would be challenges, setbacks, and unexpected situations. But now, he felt prepared. The real test was coming, and he was ready to meet it not just for a promotion, but to prove that human ingenuity and resilience could thrive even in the most complex, high-tech environment. And somewhere deep in his mind, he knew that Arya's challenge had only just begun. The orbital station rotated slowly above the glowing planet, its vast panels reflecting streaks of sunlight into the corridors. For Elias Vance, the rotation was a reminder of both human ingenuity and human vulnerability. He had grown used to the rhythm of station life, to the routines and responsibilities, but the events of the past weeks had shown him that routine was no longer enough. Arya Kaur, the CEO, remained an enigma. Each encounter with her revealed another layer of complexity. A new challenge to navigate. Elias had learned to act decisively, anticipate problems, and show calm under pressure. Yet he sensed there was something deeper behind her cryptic, "act like my husband" challenge. That something became clear on a late afternoon when he was summoned to her private office. The office floated slightly above the main operations floor, its glass walls offering a panoramic view of docking bays and the city below. Arya stood near the center, studying a holographic map of trade routes between human and alien colonies. "Elias," she began, not looking at him directly, "I've been watching you closely. You have talent, intuition, and calm judgment. But the challenge I gave you was never about the promotion alone." Elias's heartbeat quickened. Then, "What is it about?" Arya finally looked at him, her eyes sharp yet not unkind. "The station is about to host its first interstellar diplomatic mission. Representatives from several alien species will arrive. This is bigger than contracts, profits, or even human recognition. This is about trust, partnership, and leadership. I need to know if you can rise to the occasion not just as an engineer, but as someone capable of understanding people, predicting outcomes, and acting decisively in unpredictable situations. Elias absorbed her words, understanding the stakes in a way he had not before. The mission would determine humanity's reputation in the galaxy, and every action, every decision, could have lasting consequences. "You're asking me to," Elias began, hesitant. "Think beyond your role," Arya said. "Act as a partner. Anticipate challenges, and ensure the mission succeeds." That is what I meant when I said act like my husband. Not in a personal sense, but in trust, partnership, and readiness to act when necessary. Elias nodded slowly. Suddenly, the cryptic challenge made sense. Arya's words were never about romance, they were about responsibility, insight, and the human ability to adapt. His first test arrived unexpectedly. One of the alien delegates, a species known as the Valari, had reported a malfunction in the docking interface while approaching the station. The issue was minor technically, but the Valari were notoriously cautious and highly sensitive to delays or mistakes. Any error could sour diplomatic relations before the mission even began. Elias acted immediately. He coordinated with the docking crew, analyzed the interface logs, and formulated a temporary solution that would allow the Valari vessel to dock safely. The AI systems were capable of correcting minor errors, but Elias knew that human intuition anticipating the alien reactions was necessary to prevent panic or confusion. When Arya observed his actions, she said nothing, but her eyes conveyed approval. Elias realized that he had taken his first real step toward becoming someone she could trust in critical situations. Over the next few days, Elias's role expanded. He attended planning meetings with Arya, observing how she navigated complex decisions. He noted how she weighed risks, predicted reactions from alien representatives, and communicated with subtlety and clarity. Each observation was a lesson in leadership, strategy, and human adaptability. Yet not everyone appreciated Elias's rising influence. Draven, the rival executive, continued to undermine him at every opportunity. He tried to spread doubt among the engineering team, questioning Elias's judgment and subtly criticizing his approach to the docking issues. Elias resisted anger or confrontation. Instead, he focused on preparation, ensuring every technical plan was flawless and every contingency accounted for. He presented reports with confidence, anticipating questions before they were asked, and backing his recommendations with clear evidence. Slowly, the board began to take notice. His presence became a stabilizing factor, a sign that the station's leadership had someone capable of handling complex challenges calmly and efficiently. One evening, as Elias reviewed the final itinerary for the visiting alien delegates, Arya joined him in the observation deck. The station rotated beneath them, the blue-green planet reflecting in their eyes. "The Valari delegation is just the beginning," she said softly. "The mission will test humans in ways machines cannot predict, and that is why you are important. You see patterns, anticipate reactions, and act decisively. These are uniquely human traits, ones that will make or break our mission." Elias felt a mix of pride and responsibility. The journey was no longer about climbing the corporate ladder. It was about proving the human capacity for leadership, empathy, and intuition in an environment where precision and logic alone were insufficient. The next morning, the Valari vessel docked successfully. Elias had coordinated every detail, communicating effectively with both the alien crew and the station personnel. The operation went smoothly, and the aliens expressed gratitude for the prompt response. Arya gave him a subtle nod, a rare gesture of acknowledgement, and Elias felt a deep sense of accomplishment. However, the real test was still ahead. Reports arrived of a potential sabotage attempt from a rival corporate faction. The source was unclear, and the timing suspicious. Just before the diplomatic mission, Elias understood that this was no longer a technical challenge. It was a test of judgment, ethics, and human ingenuity. He immediately organized a review of all systems, checking for irregularities, unusual code, or suspicious behavior among staff. He coordinated with security teams and AI monitors, ensuring that every angle was covered. His efforts revealed minor irregularities, but nothing catastrophic. Still, His vigilance ensured that the station's reputation remained intact. Arya observed quietly throughout the process. "You are learning quickly," she said. "Not everyone sees the subtle signals. Humans have an advantage in situations like this. Machines follow protocols. People anticipate." Elias felt a renewed sense of purpose. The challenge, he realized, was more than technical competence. It was about human perception, adaptability, and decision-making under uncertainty. His success depended not only on his knowledge but on his ability to understand others, predict outcomes, and act with clarity and confidence. Over the following week, the station prepared for the full diplomatic mission. Delegates from multiple alien species arrived, each with unique protocols, expectations, and temperaments. Elias found himself in a new role: a liaison, an observer, and a problem solver. He watched Arya handle delicate conversations, noting the subtle cues she used to maintain respect and trust. He began to anticipate her responses, offering solutions before she even asked, and subtly guiding discussions when necessary. The first major challenge of the mission came when a misunderstanding arose between two alien factions. A technical discrepancy in the docking schedule had caused tension, and tempers flared. Elias, recalling lessons from previous incidents, acted quickly. He mediated communication, clarified intentions, and proposed a compromise that satisfied both parties. The situation de-escalated before it could escalate into a serious conflict. Arya observed silently. But when the matter was resolved, she approached Elias. "That was excellent," she said, her eyes reflecting approval. "You are thinking ahead, acting decisively, and maintaining trust. These are human qualities that machines cannot replicate. This is why you were chosen." Elias understood the full meaning of her words now. The challenge had never been about technical skill alone. It had been about trust, intuition, leadership, and human insight, qualities that defined humans as capable, adaptable, and essential in a universe where logic and technology were not enough. As the mission progressed, Elias continued to rise to the occasion. Every challenge, from minor technical glitches to complex social negotiations, tested his skills and judgment. With each success, his confidence grew. He realized that the promotion Arya had hinted at was only a symbol. The true reward was the trust and responsibility she had placed in him. By the end of the week, the diplomatic mission was a success. Aliens left the station with a sense of respect for human capability, and the corporation's reputation soared. Elias reflected on the lessons he had learned: observation, anticipation, decisive action, and the uniquely human ability to understand and adapt. As he prepared to leave the observation deck, Arya joined him one last time that day. "You have done well, Elias," she said, her voice calm but full of meaning. "Remember, this is just the beginning. The universe is full of challenges. Machines cannot solve everything. Humans, our intuition, judgment, and adaptability will always matter." Elias nodded. He finally understood. The promotion was not about power or titles. It was about proving that humans could rise to challenges, lead with insight, and adapt where others could not. And he was ready for whatever came next. The station's alarm lights blinked in rapid succession, casting red streaks across the corridors. The gravity stabilizers hummed unevenly, creating a subtle wobble that made walking difficult. Elias Vance had never experienced a crisis of this magnitude in his short tenure at the station. Energy core fluctuations detected, the AI announced in its calm, mechanical voice. Immediate action required. Elias's heart raced. This was no minor glitch. The station's main energy core, which powered everything from life support to docking systems, was destabilizing. If the fluctuations continued, the entire station could be at risk. Ships in the docking bays might lose orientation, cargo could be lost, and lives were at stake. Arya Kaur appeared at the control center, her expression calm but focused. She didn't shout orders. She didn't panic. Her mere presence, steady and composed, reminded Elias of everything he had learned in recent weeks. Observation, anticipation, and decisive action. "Elias," she said, her voice calm. "The core's fluctuation is unusual. I need you to stabilize it. Can you handle this?" Elias nodded, swallowing the rising panic in his throat. This was the ultimate test. It was one thing to manage minor glitches or diplomatic challenges. It was another to prevent disaster in real time. Yet, he knew he couldn't hesitate. Hesitation could cost lives. He accessed the energy control interface. Streams of data scrolled across the holographic display. Power levels, energy flows, subsystem statuses. The AI provided suggestions, but Elias knew this was a situation where human intuition mattered. The core's instability wasn't following normal patterns. Something subtle had triggered it, perhaps a minor code misalignment or an overlooked maintenance error. He began adjusting parameters carefully, rerouting power to stabilize pressure valves while monitoring reactor output. Every second counted. The station trembled slightly with each fluctuation, reminding him that failure was not an option. Arya moved to his side, observing silently. "Remember," she said, "machines can follow protocols, but humans see patterns they cannot. Trust your instincts." Elias took a deep breath and focused. He reviewed the data again, mentally mapping the flow of energy through the station. He spotted an anomaly in the auxiliary conduits, small, almost invisible. If left unchecked, it would escalate, causing a chain reaction. With precision, he rerouted energy flows, bypassing the affected conduits and balancing the main reactor's output. The fluctuations decreased slightly, the station's tremors softened, and the red alarms dimmed for a moment. But the situation wasn't over. A secondary system alert lit up. The docking bay's AI was reporting multiple shuttles experiencing orientation errors. If left unresolved, ships could collide, causing damage and endangering crews. Elias glanced at Arya. "I need to stabilize the docking systems too," he said. She nodded. "Go. I trust your judgment." Elias split his focus, directing part of the interface toward the docking bays. He coordinated with the human operators, guiding shuttles manually while overriding AI protocols where necessary. It was a delicate balance. Too much human intervention could interfere with automated corrections. Too little could lead to disaster. Minutes felt like hours. Sweat dripped down his forehead. Yet with each adjustment, he felt a strange clarity. Every decision was critical. Every command mattered. This was more than engineering, it was leadership, judgment, and human adaptability in action. Finally, the alarms decreased. The energy core stabilized, and all docking shuttles regained orientation. The station hummed steadily once again, lights returning to their normal glow. Arya stepped closer, her expression unreadable. Elias waited, unsure if he had succeeded. "You did well," she said finally, her tone calm but filled with meaning. "You anticipated, acted decisively, and stabilized the station. Machines alone could not have done that. Only humans can think and adapt in situations like this. You've proven yourself." Elias felt a rush of relief mixed with pride. The challenge had been more than technical skill, it had tested his judgment, calmness under pressure, and ability to understand complex systems. He realized that acting like her husband had always been a metaphor. To anticipate, support, and act decisively when it mattered most. Yet, the relief was short-lived. Reports arrived that one of the visiting alien factions had experienced minor confusion due to the fluctuations. While no damage had occurred, it was a diplomatic concern. Elias knew that resolving the technical issue was only part of the challenge. Now he had to manage trust and perception, ensuring that humanity's reputation remained intact. He accessed the communication channels and contacted the alien delegation. Speaking carefully, he explained the situation, detailing the steps taken to stabilize the station. He acknowledged the inconvenience caused and emphasized the station's commitment to safety and cooperation. His tone was calm, confident, and sincere qualities that seemed to reassure the delegation. Later, Arya approached him in the observation deck. The planet below shimmered with blue and green hues, reflecting the calm after the storm. "You handled both the technical and diplomatic sides," she said. "That is exactly what I wanted to see. Leadership isn't just about numbers. It's about understanding people, systems, and consequences." Elias nodded, still catching his breath. "I understand now. The challenge wasn't just about acting fast. It was about seeing everything at once, and acting where it mattered most." Arya smiled slightly, her eyes sharp. "Humans have an advantage machines cannot replicate. Instinct, judgment, and empathy are our strengths. You've shown that today." Over the next few days, the aftermath of the crisis required careful attention. Minor system checks, diplomatic follow-ups, and internal reviews occupied the staff. Elias remained central in coordinating efforts, his calm and decisive approach inspiring confidence among his peers. Even Draven, who had once undermined him, began to recognize Elias's skill and judgment. Elias reflected on the lessons he had learned. Crises were unpredictable, but humans could adapt. Machines followed rules, but humans saw patterns, sensed subtle signals, and made decisions that could prevent disaster. He realized that his success wasn't just personal, it was proof of humanity's capability to thrive, even in environments dominated by technology and high stakes. One evening, after the final checks were completed, Arya joined Elias on the observation deck again. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the station, each one a reminder of the vast possibilities and challenges ahead. "You've proven yourself," she said softly. "But remember, this is only the beginning. The universe will test us in ways we cannot imagine. What matters is that humans can adapt, anticipate, and act. That is why you are here." Elias felt a surge of determination. The crisis had been terrifying, but it had also shown him the depth of his abilities. Acting like Arya's husband was no longer about metaphor or challenge, it was about responsibility, trust, and partnership. He looked out at the vast expanse of space. The stars seemed brighter now, not just because of their light, but because of what they represented: opportunity, challenge, and the chance to prove the strength of humanity. As the station hummed quietly around them, Elias made a silent promise. He would continue to rise to every challenge, protect the people and systems under his care, and prove that humans could meet any test, no matter how impossible it seemed. Arya's challenge had pushed him to his limits, but it had also shown him the path forward. He was no longer just an engineer, no longer just an employee seeking recognition. He was a partner, a problem solver, and a human capable of extraordinary judgment and resilience. And as the station rotated silently above the planet, Elias knew that whatever came next, technical crises, diplomatic challenges, or threats from the unknown, he would be ready. Because humans could adapt, humans could lead, humans could act where machines could not, and Elias Vance was determined to prove it. Every step of the way, the orbital station had returned to its calm routine, but the memory of the recent crisis lingered in everyone's mind. Engineers checked systems carefully, docking crews reviewed protocols, and security teams patrolled with renewed vigilance. Amid this normalcy, Elias Vance walked through the corridors with a sense of quiet confidence. It had been weeks since his first encounter with Arya Kor on the jogging track. Each day had tested him in ways he had never imagined: technical challenges, diplomatic negotiations, and now, a full-blown crisis that had threatened the station's stability. He had learned to anticipate, act decisively, and remain calm under pressure. More importantly, he had learned what it meant to be a partner in leadership, someone who could be trusted to make decisions when the stakes were high. Arya called him to the observation deck. The sun of the nearby planet reflected in the glass walls, painting the room in gold and amber light. Elias found her standing near the railing, her posture calm but commanding, her gaze sweeping across the station. "Elias," she said, turning to face him, "you've proven yourself in ways I could not have expected. Your judgment, foresight, and calm under pressure have been remarkable." Elias felt a mixture of pride and humility. He had done his best, but hearing her acknowledgement was more than he had ever imagined. "This promotion," she continued, "is not just about rank or title. It's about trust, partnership, and the ability to handle situations that cannot be predicted by numbers or AI. You have shown that humans, through intuition, empathy, and insight, can achieve what machines cannot." Elias nodded. "Thank you, ma'am. I won't let you down." Arya's lips curved into a slight smile. "I don't doubt that. But more than that, I want you to understand something important. The challenges we face in the galaxy will require humans who can adapt, lead, and anticipate. You've shown that capability. That is the true reward." The promotion came a few days later. Elias now had access to strategic decision-making, resources for innovation, and the authority to coordinate missions beyond the station. Yet, the title itself felt less significant than the trust Arya had placed in him and the lessons he had learned about human capability. Elias's first official assignment in his new role was to assist Arya in preparing for an expanded interstellar mission. Representatives from multiple alien species would arrive, each with unique needs, expectations, and cultures. The success of this mission would determine humanity's reputation across several star systems. From the moment the delegates arrived, Elias found himself in a new role: observer, mediator, and strategist. He coordinated teams, managed schedules, and ensured communication between species was clear and respectful. Each interaction required careful judgment, anticipating misunderstandings before they could escalate. One of the alien delegations, the Valari, had initially been cautious, skeptical of human leadership. But Elias's calm, thoughtful communication reassured them. He anticipated their needs, respected their protocols, and even noticed subtle signs of unease that the AI systems had overlooked. Slowly, their trust grew. Not because of technology, but because of human insight and empathy. Meanwhile, Arya observed quietly. She allowed Elias to take the lead in many discussions, stepping in only when necessary. This was another test one he welcomed. With each decision, he proved not just his competence, but the human ability to adapt and respond to complex, unpredictable situations. The station faced minor technical challenges during the mission: docking adjustments, life support recalibrations, and communication glitches. Elias handled them efficiently, ensuring that no disruption affected the delegates. Each successful resolution strengthened the trust between humans and the visiting species. One evening, after a long day of negotiations and system checks, Elias and Arya stood together on the observation deck. The station rotated slowly above the shimmering planet below, a quiet symbol of the delicate balance of human achievement. "You've done more than I expected," Arya said, her voice calm but filled with meaning. "You've shown that humans can rise to challenges, not just through knowledge or skill, but through insight, judgment, and trust. That is why you are here." Elias looked out at the stars, feeling a sense of purpose unlike anything he had known before. He realized that the promotion, the trust, and the responsibilities were not just about personal achievement. They were about demonstrating what humans could do in a universe filled with challenges, uncertainty, and complexity. Over the following weeks, the mission continued successfully. Aliens expressed admiration for human ingenuity and judgment. Internal systems operated smoothly under Elias's coordination, and every potential crisis was met with calm, decisive action. The station became a model of human leadership and adaptability in a high-stakes environment. Elias reflected on how far he had come. He remembered the first encounter with Arya on the jogging track, the cryptic challenge that had seemed so confusing at the time. He now understood that it was never about titles, power, or personal connections. It had been a test of human potential, an opportunity to show that humans could lead, adapt, and succeed where others might fail. The final day of the mission arrived. All delegations gathered for a closing ceremony in the main observation hall. Holographic displays showed key achievements: successful docking, smooth coordination, and positive interactions with alien representatives. The atmosphere was filled with a sense of accomplishment and respect. Arya stood before the crowd, her voice clear and authoritative. This mission has proven that humans are capable of leadership, judgment, and adaptability. It has also shown that trust and partnership are essential not just among humans, but across species. She paused, looking at Elias. And one human, in particular, has demonstrated these qualities exceptionally. Elias Vance. Your insight, judgment, and calm under pressure have been instrumental in the success of this mission. You have proven that humans can achieve extraordinary things. Applause filled the hall. Elias felt a warm sense of pride and accomplishment. But more than that, he felt a deep connection to the lessons he had learned. That human intuition, empathy, and adaptability were powerful tools, even in a high-tech, interstellar environment. After the ceremony, Elias joined Arya on the observation deck once more. The stars stretched endlessly, a reminder of the vast possibilities awaiting humanity. You've done well, she said softly, but this is only the beginning. The universe is full of challenges. Humans will need leaders who can anticipate, adapt, and act decisively. You've shown that you are one of them. Elias nodded. I understand, and I'm ready for whatever comes next. Arya's lips curved into a faint smile. Good. Remember, the challenge was never about a title. It was about proving that humans through insight, judgment, and adaptability can meet challenges that machines alone cannot handle. You have done that. Elias took a deep breath, looking out at the stars. He thought about the journey from the moment he had met Arya on the jogging track, the lessons learned during minor crises, and the true test of the station-wide emergency. Each step had prepared him for this moment, and he knew that the future would hold even greater challenges. And yet, he felt ready. Humans were capable of extraordinary things, and he had proven it not just to Arya, not just to the corporation, but to himself. The station rotated slowly, the stars glittering like distant promises. Elias realized that humanity's potential was limitless. With trust, insight, and adaptability, humans could thrive in the most complex and unpredictable environments. He smiled, feeling a sense of purpose and determination. The promotion was not the reward. The trust, responsibility, and opportunity to demonstrate human capability were. As Arya stood beside him, Elias knew that the journey was far from over. There would be more crises, more diplomatic challenges, and more opportunities to prove that humans could adapt and lead. But he was ready, confident in the knowledge that human ingenuity and judgment were powerful forces in any universe. And as the station orbited silently above the planet, Elias Vance took a final look at the endless expanse of stars, ready to step into the future with courage, insight, and the strength of humanity behind him. The journey of challenge, growth, and recognition had reached its first milestone. The universe awaited, and humans led by visionaries like Arya and trusted partners like Elias were ready to meet it.